This is KGW News at Sunrise.
What started as a 911 call to help a man passed out behind the wheel in a drive-thru eventually led to a police chase and ended with a shooting. We'll have more from this story in Longview over the weekend after speaking to neighbors who saw the whole thing unfold. Plus,
everybody's putting garbage bags over their shoes or their boots, or they're going barefoot because the mud, you just sink down into the mud. It's a quagmire. It's debilitating.
That festival attendee is talking about the muddy mess happening at Burning Man right now. Thousands are still stranded at the festival in Nevada. How some, including celebrities, are finding their way out.
Also this morning, employees at the largest independent new and used bookstore in the world are going on strike. We'll have a preview of today's worker walkout at Powell's Books with a live report from the bookstore coming up here in just a minute. It is a Labor Day Monday, which means if you're up watching us this morning, you must really like the show. Brenda and Christine both off today. China Green, new to the station, filling in this morning. Rod gives you the round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome, China. Rodney, let's keep that applause going for your Labor Day forecast, maybe?
Pretty quiet day today overall. Let's take a look outside. We are watching the chance of a little bit of mist or even a shower around. The only thing I can see on radar is just outside Vesticata. And to be honest, this was an area that saw some rain, and now it's difficult to tell if that's just false returns from the radar or not. There are breaks in the cloud cover outside. You can see the clouds from the top of the Wells Fargo building this morning. We are at 60 degrees. Pretty quiet day overall. Again, look out for maybe a trace of some moisture early. Otherwise, mostly cloudy to slow partial clearing. Winds will be light. Will be 65 at noon. 73 would actually match yesterday's high temperature. The 7-day is pretty quiet overall as well. I'll have that for you coming up in just a bit. Back to you.
All right, Rod, thank you. So on this Labor Day, a fight for fair wages and better working conditions. That is a message workers at Portland's world famous Powell's Bookstore are asking for.
So today, all 3 Portland area locations will be closed as workers go on strike. Devin Haskins is live outside Powell's flagship store on Burnside this morning. Devin, the workers have already said this will be a one-day walkout.
Yeah, and there's a sign on the front door here that says that all 3 locations here in the Portland area and all the locations will be closed for this one-day strike. This, as you said, happening as workers continue to fight for the to continue to work with the company to try and get a new contract. Employees here at Powell's are represented by the International Longshoremen and Warehouse Union, Local 5. The 2 sides have been in negotiations since early this year and have yet to reach a deal. It was just last month that 92% of employees at Powell's voted in favor to authorize a strike, and then just a little more than a week later, they said that they would go on strike for the day. Overall, they're asking for higher wages and affordable health care. The union negotiators say this one-day strike is also their way to get the store to come to the table and bargain. A representative for ILWU says the 2 sides have not met since June. Over the weekend, we caught up with employees outside of Powell's Bookstore that were holding an informational picket ahead of today's one-day strike.
We're not going on strike because we don't like our jobs. We are going on strike because we deeply believe in our jobs and our labor, and I think the inherent value in having a bookstore and larger literacy and this being a part of our community.
Powell's Bookstore posted the following on Facebook about the one-day closure, saying, "As a union workplace for 23 years, we are our union's biggest supporter. We deeply value our employees and respect their right to engage and protect in union activity, which includes a strike. We understand it can be a part of the bargaining process, and we will honor and respect it." This is the first time that Powell's has closed because of a strike since employees unionized back in 1999. Back to you.
All right, Devin Haskins reporting live for us this morning from downtown Portland. Let's get to an update now on the teacher strikes that have delayed the start of the school year for 2 districts in Southwest Washington. First off, the union representing teachers in Camas says negotiations on a new contract will continue today. Meanwhile, teachers in the Evergreen School District continued their negotiations over the weekend. The Evergreen District says it will update families by 4 o'clock this afternoon about whether or not schools will be open tomorrow.
Now to your Monday morning headlines. Money is on the way for those who were approved for Oregon paid leave benefits. Those benefits begin on Sunday. Now the program covers anyone who works in Oregon, earn at least $1,000 in 2022, and have a life event that qualifies. And you can still apply. To get an estimate on how much you'll receive and learn more about the program, head to paidleave.oregon.gov. In Marion County, Jervis City officials are expected to test their water tomorrow. Lightning hit the town's water treatment system Saturday, which caused an electric surge that put the pumps out of service. 2 of the pumps are now working, but officials are still worried that the water isn't safe to drink. So until they can verify the water is safe, everyone in Jervis should plan to boil drinking water. Police are now investigating a stabbing at a Max station over the weekend as a hate crime. The suspect, 25-year-old Adrian Cummins, is charged with assault and first-degree bias crime for allegedly stabbing 2 17-year-old boys Saturday night. Investigators say Cummins targeted the 2 because of his perception of their race. Now, police did not release any information on the race of the victims, but they are expected to recover. Cummins is also accused of robbing a convenience store at knife point that same night. And those are some of your morning headlines.
One of the wildest stories from over the weekend came from Longview, where a man passed out in a drive-through line, eventually came to, and led police on a car chase. KGW's Ashley Graham spoke to neighbors who saw the whole thing end in gunfire.
It started with a 911 call. A man was passed out in his car. He was in the drive-thru at Minami Teriyaki in Longview, Washington. Employees tried to wake him up, and they couldn't. That's when medical units showed up and gave the man, later identified as 30-year-old Lewis Earl Johnson Jr., Narcan. Police say Johnson regained consciousness here at Minami Teriyaki, but then they say he got aggressive and he took off in an orange Dodge Challenger. Police caught up with him a block away at 15th and Hudson. Officers say Johnson led them on a chase, driving dangerously from that intersection into a residential neighborhood.
I heard the sirens and I came out and I looked. And I saw the police cars go by.
But Rutherford soon heard more than just police cars.
Me and him both heard the pops.
Police say they blocked the car in and Johnson fired several shots at an officer. That's when 3 Longview police officers fired back, shooting Johnson.
We come out the front door and we come down to about here and I look over and there's a policeman on top of the dude performing chest compressions.
Johnson died at the scene. The Lower Columbia Major Crimes Team is investigating.
And I started praying for the cops and for him to be okay because I was raised that way. To pray for people regardless of what they've done in life.
Rutherford can still see some of the damage from that chase.
His Challenger was actually, the front part was actually resting in my neighbor's yard right there in front of the tree. He hit the curb hard enough, he broke off a part of his rim.
Investigators say Johnson had a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. Now, this pistol had no serial number and they say it was a ghost gun. Reporting in Longview, I'm Ashley Grams, KGW News.
It was a busy Labor Day weekend for Cannon Beach Fire. They responded to 5 emergency calls on Saturday, including this one at Chapman Point. You can see crews gathered there on the beach. That's after 2 kids and 4 adults were swept out by a rip current. It took lifeguards, jet skis, and help of 3 local surfers to get all 6 people safely back to shore.
We have a couple of wildfire updates to pass along this morning. We'll start with the Cowlitz Complex fire that's burning in southwest Washington. So this fire has burned almost 700 acres and is only 5% contained. Again, that's in southwest Washington. Meanwhile, how about this one in eastern Oregon? The fire marshal for Oregon has mobilized resources for the Bensel fire burning in Umatilla County. That one is just north of Hermiston. There are level 1, 2, and 3 evacuation orders in place there. We expect to get an update on those evacuation orders and just how much ground that fire is covering coming up this morning at 8 o'clock. All right, Rod Hill back with us again. Oh, see, I think that video we were showing you a moment ago was from the fire in southwest Washington, the Cowlitz Complex. This is video from that second fire we were telling you about in eastern Oregon. Again, wildfire season not through yet. And with that, we bring Rod Hill back into the mix. Rod, what do you have for us?
In fact, kind of in the bullseye of the fire season. I will show you this map coming up at 5:30, but every single main reporting site says good air quality this morning.
There you go.
We haven't seen that in months, ladies and gentlemen,
What is
right?
that?
Hey, check this out. Saturday night, Maybe you missed out. The airport PDX didn't get anything, but those of you that did really got a pretty good show, some heavy downpours. So those storms, which of course we expected in the valley, lit up some areas pretty good. 1,000 to 1,250 strikes reported by NWS. Forest Grove had nearly an inch of rain. Aurora 74-100s. Again, these were these passing storms Saturday night. Hillsboro just shy of a half of an inch at the airport location. And you folks in Salem had just under a quarter of an inch. This was down in the State Fair. Carolyn was down there, and she said about 7:30 they closed the rides because of lightning. And you can see she captured a lightning strike, a rainbow, and some people on the famous aerial lift chair down there going over the State Fair. Great shot, Carolyn. Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully there were no issues that I am aware of. Again, they had to close the rides down. Those storms were very slow moving. Those of you that had them realize that or remember it. Here's a look at our cool weather pattern right now. We're mainly dry. We do have a low cloud deck. And assuming there are some spots of some mist or some traces of rain out there, but otherwise we're quiet this morning. Any traceable rain showers will be just early this morning, then we'll go on to be dry. Winds are light, 58 up in Astoria. Salem's at 59, Pelton 64 degrees currently. Forecast numbers for this Labor Day Monday. 60s to maybe a few spots pop a 70 at the beach today. Tillamook, good morning. You folks have been reporting some fog and a little bit of light mist this morning, becoming partly cloudy at the beach. In fact, the coast potentially overall sees earlier sun today than what we will see here in the valley. Salem 73, becoming partly cloudy. Again, clearing in some spots could be slow to happen today, or partial clearing, I should say. Winds will be light from the west. Longview 68, Vancouver 73. Again, that light wind projection. The 7 days pretty comfortable overall. 73 today would equal yesterday's high. Clouds to sun 77 tomorrow. There's a weak system that will either bring us some rain Wednesday or the rain will stay up to our north. So that could go either way. And then after that, it's dry back up to about 80 on Thursday, low 80s Friday, Saturday, another fairly weak system on Sunday. But look, nothing showing up as really hot. By the way, 91, hotter than what I thought it would be on Saturday. That was the high at the airport. Drew, back to you.
All right, we'll have more from Rod coming up here in a few minutes. Right now, though, a look ahead at our next story here on Sunrise. Student loan payments will be due again starting next month for the first time since the pandemic. So we're going to share the details on a new program that could help people who are struggling to make their payments. Again, that story in 2 minutes.